We are interrupting our programming here on our 24/7 channel WLTX Plus. There is right now a court hearing taking place in downtown Columbia. This is all involving a mother who's facing charges in connection with a fire at her home that left 3 of her children in critical condition. Now, this is the first time that she is being set before a judge since her arrest yesterday. Let's go ahead and take you right now inside that hearing.
My job today is to determine only 2 things: whether you're a flight risk, meaning you are unlikely to appear for court, and whether releasing you would pose a danger to the community. In a few minutes, I will ask you questions to assist me in making that determination, but before I begin setting bonds, I'm going to explain this process and your rights and responsibilities. You have the following rights. You have the right to understand the nature of the charges against you and the possible punishment. If you have questions about that, please let me know when I speak with you individually. You have the right to a trial by jury. You have the right to be present at trial. For general sessions charges, you have the right to a preliminary hearing if requested within 10 days. A preliminary hearing is when a judge determines if the officer had probable cause for your arrest. If the charges brought against you are dismissed, discharged, nol pros, or you're found not guilty, you may have your record expunged. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney and you meet certain income guidelines established by the court, an attorney will be appointed to represent you if you so choose. If you do not meet the eligibility guidelines to have an attorney appointed to represent you, you still have the right to an attorney to represent you on your charges. You just must pay for one on your own. You also have the right to represent yourself and proceed without an attorney. But I must inform you that self-representation can be dangerous, and you have the right to have the assistance of a lawyer at all stages of the proceedings, and if you cannot afford a lawyer, one can be appointed to represent you. Criminal defense is a highly specialized and technical area of the law. There may be certain factual, legal, or other defenses to the charges you are facing, and if you choose to proceed without the services of a licensed attorney, you may not be aware of certain defenses. There may be issues related to the conduct of trial or a guilty plea that could arise in the future that you may not be aware of, and it would be your attorney's responsibility to be aware of those issues and how to properly address them before the court, and, if necessary, preserve the issues for appellate review. There may be collateral consequences of a conviction or plea that you're not aware of, including but not limited to: you could face increased penalties for subsequent offenses, suspension of your driver's license, restriction of the right to possess firearms and/or ammunition, or your immigration status may be affected. And if you exercise your right to proceed without the services of an attorney, you are responsible for complying with all applicable rules of court, including rules of evidence, procedural rules, and proper behavior before the judge and/or jury. And you must understand that if you waive screening for a court-appointed attorney, you are responsible for hiring a private attorney if you want one. You also have the following responsibilities. You must comply with the terms of any bond I set today. A warrant for your arrest may be issued for violation of any condition of the bail bond order. Failure to appear in court as required may result in the institution of additional criminal charges. You have the right to be present at trial, and trial may proceed in your absence if you fail to attend. And you are required to keep the court notified of any change of address until final disposition of the charge. Okay. All right. First up, Mr. Locke.
Yes, sir.
Come on up with Mr. Mobley. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
We are here today on a bond hearing for 3 counts of unlawfully placing a child at risk or cause harm or willfully abandon the child. Do you understand that, Mr. Locke?
Yes, ma'am.
And these are general sessions offenses. Your first court date is September 25th at 10 a.m. at 1701 Main Street, which is the big courthouse right downtown.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mobley, have you been retained in full, or is this a special appearance?
This is a special appearance, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Locke, Mr. Mobley is representing you today, but as far as for the rest of the case, are you going to represent yourself, hire a private attorney, or would you like to be screened for the public defender's office?
I'll probably screen for a public defender.
So I'm going to ask you some questions to determine if you qualify for the public defender. I currently have the Florence Street address. Is that the correct address for you?
Where I'm living right now? You can put in 1051 Southern Drive, apartment 3501.
Are you presently employed?
Not currently. I'm trying to be employed soon.
You're trying to what?
I'm trying to get employed soon. I was making plans with my family to be employed soon.
When was the last time you worked?
Last time I worked was probably like towards the middle and end of last year.
Do you have any children or dependents?
Besides Zahara, no. I might say besides my daughter Zahara.
So you've got a daughter. So do you have any source of income currently?
Currently, I might say no, ma'am, but from time to time, probably like DoorDash.
Based on the information that you have provided to me today, I find that you qualify for an attorney with the Richland County Public Defender's Office.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, is there anything from the city in regards to this?
Your Honor, I would like to give you a recitation of the facts at the appropriate time, and just for the record, my name is Morgan Monroe. I'm with the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office here on behalf of the state. I'd be happy to go into the facts now, if Your Honor is ready. On June 29th, 2026, the Columbia Police Department went out to a home on Florin Drive for a structure fire where 3 minor children were inside the home. Those kids were ages 6 and under. They had to be removed from inside of the home, and all were in critical condition. The oldest child and the youngest child were in 2 back bedrooms. The youngest child was in a playpen. The middle child was unresponsive in the hallway of the home and had to be removed. All kids were taken to the local hospital and then subsequently sent down to the Augusta Burn Center for further treatment. At this time, all 3 children are still critical, but they are stable. They are all still down at the Augusta Burn Center, and they are receiving care as we speak. When first responders went out to this home, there weren't any adults. There weren't any caregivers inside the home. It was simply the 3 children there by themselves. As the investigation progressed, they learned that this particular defendant is the father of one of the children, but did live in the home and help care for the other 2. And then the co-defendant is the mom of all 3 children. Neither mom or dad were home at the time that the fire broke out. Throughout the investigation, law enforcement learned that nobody had been in the home with the kids for at least a week. They talked to mom. Mom said she has not been in the house for almost a week exactly, and it was unclear how long dad had been away from the home. But also, none of the parties had gone by the home at any point during that week to check on the kids to make sure that they were okay. There is actually a text message between mom and dad where mom tells this defendant, Dad, you need to check on these kids before something happens to them. And that text was sent last Wednesday on June 24th. The fire was this past Monday night. When law enforcement went into the home, it was very clearly in deplorable conditions. There were bugs and mites. There was food everywhere. Things were unsanitary and uninhabitable. I actually have some pictures for Your Honor, if you would like to take a look at both the home and the condition of all 3 of the kids as of current. Thank you. Your Honor, as you've seen in some of those photos, there really wasn't a whole lot of food for these kids to eat. The food containers were either empty, spoiled, or out of reach. The youngest child is very malnourished. You can also see in the photos that they really didn't have a clean place to sleep. There was a mattress, but it was incredibly dirty. And so these conditions really are not suitable for any human being, let alone 3 children. And they did present to medical staff with injuries consistent of that. All kids had scarring all over their bodies that medical professionals believe are from bed bug bites that maybe have been scratched repeatedly. But they are all suffering physically because they were left alone in the home for at least a week. I did want to add, there was a neighbor that spoke to, I believe it was DSS, and said they hadn't seen mom in about a month. But those are the facts really as we know them right now. This particular defendant, Malik Locke, he does not have a criminal record, Your Honor. But in terms of his bond, the state would ask that bond be denied just because of the seriousness of the case. He is facing 3 felony charges, so he is looking at most 30 years.
I can't deny bond on these charges. They're not violent pursuant to the law, so don't ask me to do something that I legally cannot do.
Well, Your Honor, we do have some conditions that we would like to request in that case. We would ask that bond be a high surety bond, and we ask that he not have any contact with these victims or anybody under the age of 18 while he's out on bond. And just because of the seriousness of the allegations, we would ask that he also be placed on GPS so that we know his whereabouts at all times.
Was there anything further from the victims and advocates?
Your Honor, I believe Investigator 3 does want to make a statement to the court.
Yes, Your Honor. If you don't mind, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Investigator 3, and on the behalf of the City of Columbia Police Department, I've been assigned to the Special Victims Unit for quite some time, and I'm the police officer, or I have been a police officer for the last 6 years, and I have been assigned as the lead investigator to this case. If you would allow me to say a couple things on record. The minor children were abandoned for approximately 1 week, maybe more, we're not really sure, along with no supervision in the home. To my understanding, the defendant Locke was last at the home on Florin Drive on or about June 17th. However, days prior to the fire incident, he was made aware that the minor children were home alone and failed to return to the residence to either retrieve, check on, or direct someone to follow up on the wellness of the minor children. Both defendants were contacted by third-party individuals about the incident, and they still failed to come forward to law enforcement or medical staff to try to locate the children. During the early morning hours of yesterday, Dad was made aware of the condition of the home. Neither defendants, like I said, contacted law enforcement or any other authority personnel regarding the well-being or the whereabouts of the children. In addition to this, all the facts that I've already stated, this is one of the worst homes I've seen in my career to date. And this home would not have gotten in these deplorable conditions in a matter of a week while these children were left at home alone. In fact, medical staff reported that one of the minor children presented with maggots, worms, and bed bugs in her diaper. All the children still remain stable but in critical condition. My stance is kind of the same as the solicitor's office on bond in regards to those that they asked.
Anything further from the city?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Mobley.
Thank you, Honor Mayor. Police Court. Derek Mobley with the Lexington and Richland County Bar Association. I represent Mr. Locke in this matter on a limited appearance basis for bond purposes only, and it may end up retaining me on this case with the family. Do have the mother here to support him, as well as his new girlfriend and a best friend and their friend. Why that's important is because my client had gotten kicked out of that apartment where he did not have his name on the lease. He was not an occupant listed on that particular apartment, and they are correct. On about the 16th, though, they said the 17th, it was 16th. My client could not access that apartment without permission from the homeowners. He was kicked out, so that's why he's living with his best friend. And we have the backup social media text messages as well that confirms when my client goes to this residence, seeking shelter because he is kicked out. Now, this event occurs approximately a week later at that particular time. Even if he was contacted to advise of conditions in regards to the children, he could not access that apartment without permission. Then he would be standing up here with a burglary charge. Okay? So he was kicked out. The child, because there's only one child that is his, of the three. Okay? The child, he was kicked out. The child was left in the custody and care of the mother of the child at that time. My client was with his best friend, his girlfriend, and their friend at a different location, and we have the apartment location as well. Okay? Now, the reference that they give in regards to being notified in regards to the children, he did not have any transportation to even get there. Okay? Now, my client is a South Carolina native. He is 21 years of age. He has absolutely no prior arrests at all in this particular matter. He is currently employed, and he's currently living with a best friend. He is not at that location. Now, we're going to ask for a reasonable surety bond in this particular matter. I know his mother. His mother is going to help along with providing him shelter since he has been kicked out of that particular location for about 2 to 3 weeks at this particular point, Your Honor. And we're going to be able to provide him with a stable address and environment for him when it comes along. Now, this is a sad situation for all parties involved, but I wanted to make sure I distinguish my client with regards to this matter as to where his whereabouts were and why they were there, and we have proof in regards to that with one of the witnesses sitting in court today. So, Your Honor, because of that, we're respectfully ask for a reasonable surety bond and allow my client to go through the court process for appropriate adjudication. Thank you.
As a condition of my bond, there is to be no contact with the victims unless following DSS guidelines. No contact with the co-defendant, Zana Oden. I will do a GPS monitor. I'll dig for that in just a moment, but as far as the GPS monitor, is the Southern Drive address the mother's address? No. It's the friend's address. Is that where you're going to be staying full-time?
Yes, ma'am, because my friend decided he was going to help me also.
As a condition of the GPS monitor, you were to stay at the Southern Drive address. If that needs to be changed, you can do that through the court as appropriate, and you are basically under house arrest. You are not to leave the location except for work, and you must provide the offender management services with your work schedule and route if you do get a job.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. All right. So you will comply with all the terms and conditions of the Richland County Home Detention Program and with the Offender Management Services staff. You will As I stated, you will reside at 1051 Southern Drive, apartment 3501. You may not leave the residence except for the following reasons, and that's for work. You must take the shortest route to and from work and may not stop anywhere other than work in your residence. You must supply Offender Management Services with your work schedule and route of travel. You must notify Offender Management Services and the trial court of any change of employment or schedule. And you must you must provide Offender Management Services with proof of employment.
Yes.
And you may leave the house for medical or legal appointments or religious services. You must supply Offender Management Services in advance with the place, appointment, time, and route of travel for any of the above appointments or religious services. As I stated, you may not have any contact, direct or indirect, nor ask any third party, friend, relative, etc., to contact the following individuals, and that's the victims and the co-defendant, Ms. Oden. And when I say no contact, I mean no contact, no in-person phone calls, text messaging, social media, phone apps. Just because I don't name it doesn't mean you can do it. No smoke signals, no nothing. Do you
Yes, ma'am.
understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And if you are at a location, which you won't be in very many locations, but if you are at a location and any of those people walk in, you are to leave even if you were there first. Do you understand that?
Do understand.
All right. You will waive the fees associated with the home detention program. Failure to abide by the terms of this order or the directions of the Richland County Home Detention Program staff as determined by the court's own investigation or affidavit of Offender Management Services or law enforcement officers may result in the return of the defendant into the custody of the Richland County Detention Center without notice to the defendant. This order terminates upon the final resolution of the charges or upon completion of the sentence or by written order of the court. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And I will impose a cash or surety bond in the amount of $200,000. We'll get you your paperwork in a few moments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Miss Oden, come on up. You are also charged with 3 counts of with unlawful conduct towards a child. Do you understand that?
Yes.
These are general sessions charges. Your first court date is also scheduled for September 25th at 10 a.m. at 1701 Main Street, which is the main courthouse. Are you going to represent yourself, hire a private attorney, or would you like to be screened for the public defender's office?
I'd like to be screened. I did ask for an attorney when I first got interrogated, and they never gave me one. They just took me straight to jail. I've never seen an attorney this whole time. I haven't had a chance to
Well, I'll
have
screen
any
you for
representation.
one now
Yeah.
and determine if you qualify.
Great.
I also have the Florence Street address for you. Is there another address, or have you?
110 Tawney, Tawney, Forest Drive. It's in Blythewood, South Carolina.
Are you presently employed?
No.
When's the last time you worked?
I'll probably say about 2 years ago, before I became a full-time caregiver for my children.
So do you have any source of income currently?
No.
Alright. I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you as well. Are you currently on bond, probation, parole, or court supervision of any sort?
No.
Ms. Monroe, anything from the city on this one?
Your Honor, the facts are the same with regard to this defendant. The only thing I would like to add is she does have a pending case in magistrate court here in Richland County as of March of this year.
What are those charges?
Driving without a license, first offense, transporting alcohol in a motor vehicle with seal broken, and simple possession of marijuana, first offense.
I did not know that.
I'm sorry?
I said I wasn't aware that I had any. I'm just letting you know, because you did ask if I had any prior, if I was on bond or something like that.
You're on bond for those charges? You went to jail on those?
I was arrested. I went to Alvarez Glen, and they let me go the next day, as far as I know.
That was most likely a personal recognizance bond, so it's still considered a bond. You just did not have to pay anything to be released at that time.
Okay.
So, are you from the Columbia area?
I am not. I am originally from New York City. I come from a military family background. I have 3 children. Like I said, I became a full-time caregiver. At the time that the situation happened, I actually do have my own proof that the father informed me that he, I don't know because I don't have a lawyer, so I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am.
Pause you.
My fault.
This is not your trial today.
Okay.
This is your bond hearing.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we're not here to discuss the facts.
Okay.
So I'm happy to hear from you, but I'm just letting you know everything in this courtroom is being recorded and can be utilized in the future. So
Yes, ma'am.
if you don't wish to discuss the facts,
I just feel a little bit off because I don't have representation that I asked for over 24 hours ago. So I'm just kind of a little bit trying to make sure I speak up or, whatever I need to do to, make the point or have my own back. At this I don't have no representation that, I do have a right to, which they explained to me multiple times.
Well, I have appointed the public defender's office to represent you, and so they will open up a file on you, and they will meet with you as soon as possible. Okay, but you were saying you were from
New York City, yes,
How
ma'am.
long have you been in the Columbia area?
I've lived there. I've lived in Columbia a few times, once as a child while my mother was stationed in Fort Jackson, and then another time closer to adulthood So typically about 2 years as far as being an adult. But yes, I did live here previously before.
So you've been here 2 years this go-around?
Yes. Just about 2 years, yes, ma'am.
And who are you staying with in Blythewood?
That's my mother's residence.
As far as danger to the community or flight risk, which are the only factors I am here to consider today, Ms. Oden, is there anything else you wish to tell me?
No, ma'am.
Just to make it clear so that I'm complying with everybody's rights, was there anything further from the victims or the victim's advocate?
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Your Honor, this one will be a little bit shorter because the facts still remain the same in regards to the house and the condition of the home. I would like to add that post Miranda, the defendant, Ms. Oden, admitted that she left the residence on Florin Drive about a week prior to the incident and had not returned since. She admitted post Miranda that she attempted to come up to the scene but saw several police cars and personnel and decided to decided to leave the scene based on those facts. When she was interviewed, she gave me a statement post Miranda, and the only time that a lawyer was mentioned was after her phone was brought up, at which point the interview was stopped and she was read her warrants, and here we are. Thank you.
Ms. Oden, as a condition of your bond, I'm going to impose electronic monitoring as well. Conditions are very similar to Mr. Locke's. You must comply with the Richland County Home Detention Program's electronic monitoring, and you will comply with all the terms and conditions of the Richland County Home Detention Program and with the Offender Management Services staff. During your release, you will reside at 110 24 Drive in Blythewood. You may not leave the residence except for the following reasons, and that's work, and you must provide proof of employment to Offender Management Services before leaving the house claiming you're going to work. You must take the shortest route to and from work and may not stop anywhere other than work in residence. You must supply Offender Management Services with your work schedule and route of travel. You must notify Offender Management Services and the trial court of any change of employment or schedule. And you may leave for medical or legal appointments or religious services. You must supply Offender Management Services in advance with the place, appointment time, and route of travel for any of the above appointments or religious services. You may not have contact, direct or indirect, nor ask any third party, friend, relative, etc., to contact the following individuals, and that is the victims, unless that's through DSS and following DSS guidelines. And if you have no contact with the Malik Locke, I am waiving all the fees that are associated with the Richland County Home Detention Program. Failure to abide by the terms of this order or the directions of the Richland County Home Detention Program staff as determined by the municipal court's own investigation or affidavit of Offender Management Services or law enforcement officers may result in the return of the defendant into the custody of the Richland County Detention Center without notice to the defendant. And this order terminates upon the final resolution of the charges listed above or upon completion of the sentence or by written order of the court. Do you understand that?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
I am going to impose a cash or surety bond on these charges as well. And I'm concerned about the ties to the community, so I will impose a cash or surety bond in the amount of $300,000. We will get you your paperwork shortly. Thank you very much. That concludes my docket. Ms. Harper, I'm going to turn these back around.
You just heard the bond hearing for the 28-year-old mother as well as one of the fathers, a 21-year-old. We're going to start over. We have had this breaking news there during this bond hearing, as we have now seen the 21-year-old father named Malik Locke has now been charged as well. He was there in that bond hearing, as well as the mother, 3 counts of child endangerment. This all comes after 3 children. As a reminder, the ages are 6, 4, and 2 years old, found inside a home. All of this during a house fire. This is some video there of the scene. According to the Columbia Police Department, we're hearing that Miss Oden was evading police before she was arrested. Neither, as we mentioned, were home at the time of the fire and did not return home following this fire. Again, all of this happening Tuesday night at around 9:30. This is on Florence Street. So there was that court appearance today. We have learned that one of the child's fathers, that is Mr. Locke, also arrested and had his bond hearing as well. He went first. Now, during this, the state also made a statement there and gave us new information about what exactly happened inside that house. The state saying that the 4-year-old was found unresponsive by firefighters when they went into the home. They also telling us today that 2 of the children were together in the home while the 2-year-old was found in the playpen during this fire. Also saying the 2-year-old was found malnourished. They also talked a little bit of details yesterday in the press conference about the conditions that were inside the home. The state saying tonight that there were no clean places to sleep and eat for these children. And in fact, all the children there had scarring on their bodies where the state said they believed were from bug bites. We are also learning that all 3 of these children are still in Augusta, Georgia. They are still in critical but stable condition tonight. We also have learned from the state that these children were left inside that home alone for at least a week. That is according to the state there, and also saying that the Department of Social Services has not heard from the mother in at least a month, saying that they haven't been home for at least a week, have not checked on the kids. However, they did mention that there was some text message conversations between Miss Oden and Mr. Locke. They also mentioned inside the home, according to the state, there was mice, food, bugs, unsanitary, and, quote, uninhabitable and livable conditions. They also said the condition of all 3 of their children. The state also provided some photos to the judge there. Also mentioning, we did hear from the police department, also saying that at least 1 week alone unsupervised for these children. They also said that the father, Mr. Locke, was last home on June 17th. Also, according to the police department, the dad knew that they were home alone and did nothing, according to the police department, saying that they both failed to come forward and locate their children at the time. Also saying that the dad was made aware of the home. Worst home that she's ever seen to date, according to the police department. Medical staff showing that even the diapers on these children had, quote, maggots and worms. We did hear a little bit from Derek Mobley, the one who's representing the father here. He also wanted to go into detail that the father was kicked out of that apartment. His name is not on this lease. He was not living there. He was not listed there. He said that he could not even get into that home, even if he could, without permission, saying that he was kicked out. He said he couldn't get in without that because he said if he did, that would be considered burglary. He also said that the father, Mr. Locke, has no prior arrest, did not live in that location there. So in total for Mr. Locke, the judge has ruled no contact with the children, no contact with the co-defendant, a GPS monitor, and a surety bond of $200,000 there. Oden, on the other hand, did receive a $300,000 surety bond. Same things. We did also hear that their court date is scheduled for September 25th at 10 a.m. We are going to have much more details about this on our website, WLTX.com, and much more details coming up tonight on Friends at 5. We thank you for joining us here for this breaking news coverage about this bond hearing for not only the mother, but also learning one of the child's fathers in that house fire that we were talking about yesterday. But again, we're going to have much more details on our website, WLTX.com.